Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who.
You're listening to a mostly harmless cutaway.
Mostly harmless. Mostly harmless? Oh, come. I think that's pretty good coverage for a disintegrated pile of rubble.
Hi, this is Eric.
This is Josh.
This is Sean.
And welcome back. It's Mostly Harmless Cutaway, episode 187. This is not brought to you by NWA. This is, in fact, another great episode of season 2.
Isn't it brought to you by Surfshark? Oh, we didn't get them yet. Okay. I'm waiting. We're waiting for 16 more subscribers in order to get the Surfshark.
Yeah. Tell your coworkers to listen to the greatest Doctor Who podcast.
Yeah, listen. Subscribe on YouTube.
With an explicit warning.
Smash the like button and make a comment below.
Yes. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Sean, are you paying attention? Because you have to say all that stuff. Okay,
yeah,
right.
I'm going to have to do that. Yeah.
Write all that stuff down. Very important. We're going to talk about Doctor Who today.
Well, let's go down the well.
Okay.
So I assume you guys loved this episode of Doctor Who?
I saw it. That's all I can say. I saw it.
Okay.
Sean, what did you think about it?
I
want to hear your thoughts.
Did you see it, Sean?
Okay, so Midnight is my most favorite New Who story of all time. Okay. And when I found out that this was a sequel to Midnight, I got to admit, I pretty much squeed. I thought that was great. I'm still wondering how the hell the same person that wrote this is the same guy that wrote Space Babies in the first episode of this season. But yeah, I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as Lux, but what I think they did, and they did it very well, was maintaining that sense of dread that they had in Midnight when it's just a bunch of people in one room talking. What I think kind of lost me was I was a little confused about how the creature, or whatever you want to call it, I can't remember, how it was killing people, because it had something to do if you stand in front of her. I don't know. That wasn't explained well.
Sean, the funniest part of that is it was kind of like, the bridge scene in Monty Python's Flying Circus, in the good one. There's a bridge scene where he says, "What is your favorite color?"
Oh, yeah.
The Holy Grail. Okay.
Yes.
And if you get the answer wrong, you just shoot up straight up into the sky and die below the bridge. You know what I mean? That's what that reminded me of.
Red, no, yellow. Ah!
An European swallow or African swallow.
I feel like you must have been under the influence of something, because I felt like...
Oh, that was shade.
No, I'm just saying...
The library is open.
They spoke really slowly as they were explaining how it offs its victims, and I felt it was almost too slow. Like,
I thought it was obvious at first, but then it got a little confusing, especially when that handful of people died, when what's-his-name got involved with it.
It is, I'm sorry, but I did laugh out loud because I thought about that scene in Holy Grail, and I'm like, every single time somebody died, they kind of shot up into the air. I'm like, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Quite simply, Sean, the entity or whatever it is only exists exactly right behind the person. So as long as you avoid that area, you're fine. But as soon as you get into that area, you instantly get...
pounded.
Yeah. And that's all there is to it. Really.
I will say this, like, Sean, from the standpoint of Midnight, like, you should go back and watch Midnight again, because the thing about Midnight that really made it great was that they were all kind of paranoid. Like, the paranoia was at a level And they tried to get to that level here, but it never quite got there, in my view. Like it was much more, or much less base under siege to me.
Much less base
Yeah,
under siege?
much less than in Midnight, where you're in that vehicle.
Well, that's interesting. I guess it is technically a base under siege, but I was going to say it's a Monsters Are Due on Maple Street story. Do you know what that is?
No, you're going to have to define that.
That is an old Twilight Zone episode where there is a alien attack imminent, and all these people that live on a street are coming out of their houses, and they start accusing each other of, colluding with the aliens. And it's filled with paranoia. It's very much, I feel like it inspired stuff like John Carpenter's The Thing. I think that's a really good example where you don't know who's been infected by the creature and who's going to go next, and eventually they all do. I think, where am I going with this? Yeah.
I just think that Midnight was much more effective at that than this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel that kind of paranoia. It was there a little bit, but when Belinda saw the helmet or whatever it was, because I saw like the behind the scenes stuff, and it's just a guy in a helmet. When she saw it, she's like, "No, I didn't see anything." Like it was that level of paranoia versus like the doctor's like trying to get a hold of all these people, but they're all accusing him, and it was much more tense in Midnight than it was in this. I felt like the tension was just mediocre.
It doesn't work as well also when you don't really know who your characters are, because all these soldiers in this are like a bunch of red shirts. They're all just picked off so casually. There's a couple that we get to know well. Whereas in something like Midnight, there's 6 or 7 passengers on that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we more or less know a lot about them just from little, small talk that they make and stuff. So,
and it's a much tighter space. Like it's so much
definitely.
tighter.
Literally.
Like, this room looks huge, and then you have the room with the well, and you've got like there's all kinds of room there to run if need be. I thought the usage of a deaf character actually worked in this one. What I can't get around my head is 500,000 years from now we haven't cured deafness. Like it was a good usage of that, but at the same time I'm like thinking to myself, you've got these really cool things where you can actually show what you're saying in front of you, which probably exists today, quite frankly. You probably could make it today, but like the technology has not moved on so that we can resolve hearing issues in people. It just, to me, that's so strange. And maybe it's because like this planet didn't have all this technology, but it's like, if you're going to throw us 500,000 years, dude, you're going to have to show us a little bit more, because what I saw was something that could have occurred 50 years from now instead of 500,000 years from now, which is a long time in the future. Maybe we've breeded out deafness, like who knows, but while I liked it because it helped with the story, like I think Russell took us out too far, in my view. And my that's just my opinion on it. Like he could have done Midnight. He could have done the same kind of years there. It didn't have to be so far in the future. And that's a nitpick. I will agree, it's a nitpick. But one more thing, Eric, and I'll let you speak. I'm just going to say one last thing, and that is, her sacrifice at the end. I don't think it didn't make it to me, as far as like, I suppose he was trying to say that she was with the wild ones or something like that, and that she was willing to sacrifice herself. But I hate self-sacrifice in Doctor Who, especially when it's, when the Doctor or the companion is the one who's been affected or whatever, because to me that always seems like a cop-out. And Chibnall uses shit a lot. And you know what? RTD has been using it a lot too. Like in Rogue last year, that was used. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
I'm trying to think of...
Do you remember in Rogue last year? Like...
I don't remember what was going on with Ruby. Was she...
Ruby was in that little square box or whatever with all the creatures.
Okay.
Do you remember that? And it was going to go down, or I don't remember. God, I've only seen the damn thing once. But, you know, the dude who was his love interest, like, went in her place or whatever.
Okay.
And it happened in Jodie's time too, right? So, you know, the whole Time Lord Cyberman thing, you know, with the button, pressing the button or whatever. Like, I'll press it for you, Jodie. You know, it was like I hate that. It's a cop out every single time. You know, somebody sacrifices themselves, and again, he did it in Midnight too. You know, he did it in Midnight too. But it, you know, I've said enough. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I've said very little up to this point, and it sounds to me like both of you like this episode incredibly more than me.
Really?
Yeah. I know we're only 3 in, but by far and away my least favorite of this season.
Get out! This is worse for you than the Robot Revolution?
Yes. You know, I mentioned last time I've had this self-defense mechanism that's been built up over Chibnall's time where I can just sit back, and that's how I got through that episode. Like, I just let things that were a little bit kooky like roll off my back in Robot Revolution. But in this one, it had too much that subverted my defense mechanism. There was just too much in this episode. I'm not sure how to describe it. Contrivances of plot. Like you have this idea, the overall idea for this monster and what's going to be the problem. And then you have to set up all the cockamamie rules or all the gears to make it function. And it was just way too much to make the story function. It just got, and it made it all completely uninteresting to me because it felt more contrived than, and that's a normal thing in Doctor Who and New Doctor Who, to have contrivances to make a story work. But this one, to me, was bending over backwards 4 times to make things work, and it wasn't even worth it to me. So, like, if it didn't have the contrivances, this just would have been a whatever episode to me. But because it was trying so hard to make it work, that just made it even worse. It, like, doubled down on bad. I felt like characters... I felt like... This is going to sound weird. I felt like I was watching a Doctor Who story from, like, the black and white era, in the sense that, like, a vibe I get when I watch some of the black and white era is that whatever situation they're in, for some reason the Doctor and companions seem so much more naive and not expectant of things and constantly being surprised and making, like, rookie mistakes, things that don't make sense for the Doctor and his companions. And this episode felt that way, where I get it. Belinda's new to this, only her 3rd adventure, but it just, this felt too much. Everybody was ridiculous in dealing with the situation, especially all the side characters. Everyone was just absolutely ridiculous. There was almost, I did not know this was going to be a sequel to Midnight until it was literally revealed in the story.
I don't think anybody knew, did they?
Oh, when you were saying it, Sean, it sounded like you found out before the episode, before you watched it, and so you were...
No, I had no idea. I'm not like Steve, who, you know, goes and seeks out this stuff.
Either way, I already didn't like it, and then they said that, and I was like, well, I could care less now. Other than I just felt like this is a terrible sequel, because, I mean, yeah, Midnight's a great episode. I wasn't on the train as quickly as everybody else, no pun intended. Like I just thought it was an okay episode the first time I saw it, but then everyone was so beaming about it, I gave it more looks, and
it was clever. It was clever.
It was clever. So I appreciated it more over time, Midnight. But this one, not at all. I really dislike this episode. It's not only my least favorite of the three, but it's probably one of my least favorite since Ncuti became the Doctor. Even though I can't remember all the filler episodes from last year, but this is one of my least favorite Ncuti episodes. It was just completely redonkulous. And something else I noticed in this episode, and I've been noticing it in all the episodes this year and several last year, which is
Ncuti's crying.
So RTD's obviously has been the showrunner now, and a lot of the RTD stories, not only do they feel like RTD stories, which is to be expected from his previous run, but most of these episodes with Ncuti and Tennant recently, they feel like RTD Moffat episodes. Like I constantly feel like Moffat is in the background as like assistant ghostwriter or something, because I feel like I've seen so many tropes of both RTD and Moffat style of writing, except usually not the best versions of their writing in several of these episodes.
I will say you're right in that like Robot Revolution felt very Moffat-y in its use of time and stuff like that.
And then the other thing, and the last thing I'll say for now is why I kind of feel over this episode is that, you know, I get it. It's kind of always been this way in Doctor Who, classic and new. Like when they go to do a base under siege, like in some futuristic setting or space setting, you can kind of tell, like if it's the 70s or the 80s or the aughts, like the style of like the technology on the station or the spacesuits or whatever. But I wish they could just do something different, because it just looks like every other space setting of New Who. And like it's Doctor Who, it's supposedly 500,000 years in the future. Couldn't we just have something that looks completely different? I mean, just why not? Even if it looks silly, different. The uniforms, it's just so bland.
The uniforms were so generic, Eric. That
yes, everything about it was like so generic.
The uniforms are so generic that the Doctor and Belinda chose uniforms from the Doctor's closet that were exactly the right ones.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
You know,
exactly
I actually got
right
over
ones.
that. I was like, I'm not even going to address that.
Or take your helmets and you have 2 spots available.
I wasn't even going to address that. But you know, but even in Classic Who, you know, at least they could just randomly, because they would just be going into the costume section at the BBC. You know, oh, these guys just happen to look like ancient Mongolian style helmets for some unknown reason. Or, you know,
I'll take that over being completely right 500,000 years later. I'll take that, you know,
yeah.
because that was ridiculous. That was crazy ridiculous. They basically put on the suits as if they were putting on costumes for a play. Okay?
Well, that's like the ongoing gag. I mean, Sean mentioned it last week in Lux when they got ready to get dressed in the 50s, and they basically did the same kind of thing. Like, you know, the going in the one door and coming out the other door.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I was fine with that because they've just put on 50s gear or whatever, or had haircuts that looked like they were from the 50s. But this is like selecting the exact clothing they needed to.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
To not only fit in,
the style,
to be exactly the same as what they were like. Look, the whole show is not believable, obviously, but
yes, but see, I could even accept that, even though it's ridiculous. But like when they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't leave your helmets here," and the doctor's like, oh, it doesn't go good, with the outfit or whatever he said. But you just knew that was going to play a part later, It was super lazy.
Silly.
By the way, I'm wondering if it was on purpose that the doctor looked rather snug in that outfit. Did anybody else notice?
Oh, he looks snug in almost every outfit except for the ones in the with the long flowing coat. They put him in very how do I put this? Without pissing off people. He dresses kind of gay, Sean.
And there's lots of did you notice he does a lot of squatting in this episode.
He sure does. Yeah. Does.
There's one shot where he's sitting next to Alice and he squats and it looks so uncomfortable, but it's like a huge ass shot. I'm like, is this on purpose?
Yeah.
Am I the only one noticing this?
Sean, this is like RTD puts in his stage direction for Ncuti Gatwa's ass to be showing.
I wasn't even going to get into this because it's to be expected every episode, and I'm also over it. I don't have thoughts on this stuff generally. But
you're right; it's to be expected. Just like William Hartnell. Hartnell had the same thing.
But
they wanted to see his ass.
Since you're bringing it up, it was this episode, I believe, because Belinda was talking about, are my parents still alive? This and that, and he's like, I promise, I'm going to meet your parents, and your mom can stare at my bum, and that's what I'm talking
such
about.
An RTD.
That's what I'm saying
right there.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but you guys were talking about tight clothing and squatting down, so that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. Because my defense mechanism is screening all that stuff out to where it doesn't affect me anymore.
It's not that it affects me. It's like, Sean, you brought it up, and it's like it's so clear and obvious. It's who cares? I mean, I don't really care. It doesn't. I don't look for it. I the fact that Sean mentioned it is made me think. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they used to do this with the women too. So
there's the same thing. Actually, more often could be said about the women in classic and new Who. I mean, come on, Leela.
Oh yeah. I that's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
they do it with the women all the time.
Ruby's a bit of a dish herself. There was a lot of nice bosom outfits.
Yeah.
I didn't notice. But another thing I mean by 60s Doctor Who reminding me of that, it's kind of in the writing more than anything. Because, I actually watched this a second time today. And when you already know, all the secrets, like why are the mirrors broken? Why are half the people mangled? The other half shot? Once you already know how it all works and you go back and watch it, that's what I'm talking about. Every character seems like they're only acting and saying what they're saying, because if they acted like normal people, the whole story would be over in 5 minutes. And that's kind of like how black and white Doctor Who was. And this is another metaphor within a metaphor. But how in classic Doctor Who, because they had the small sets, whenever they're on an alien planet or exploring a new castle, the camera just slowly moves with the characters, and they'll be like, "Oh, look, what is this?" And you didn't see it until the camera panned to the petrified creature in the Dalek episode. But you're like, wait a second, that was just sitting there the whole time. The characters couldn't see it just because it was off screen, but it's literally in front of them. That's a metaphor for how the writing seems to me in this is everything should have been sought, because when that the creature's behind her and how it got attached to the deaf woman, and you watch it back, then you struggle to understand why the deaf woman is being so ungiving with information.
Oh, true.
There's no reason she should be with that way other than to create suspense, because she just would have said it right away, but they couldn't do that. But that's the first thing you would do if you were her. But she's like, no, not even going to mention. Are you crazy? That was the beginning of the downfall in my mind of I cannot get on board with this.
Yeah. So Eric, you bring up a really good point. The fact is that's true. I mean, there is no reason for her to have kept that information. And the other thing about it is he was trying to get to the same feeling as you have in Midnight. And by having her not be forthright, that's how he was doing it. And so for that, it didn't work.
Correct.
By any stretch, it didn't work. And it worries me a little bit that RTD tried to rewrite essentially an episode that was clever at the time and was brand new, and basically do the same one again for the most part. It was so similar, but it was a shell of the original. A shell.
I agree with that. The only reason she was being so coy is because they were trying to sell the red herring of, which seemed obvious, but incorrect, that the entity is probably existing in her. Because they drop these little clues that are trying to make you, like...
Yeah, exactly. With her, with her facial expressions and stuff like that, it looked like she was holding this back on purpose.
Yeah, and they were saying, like, who could be this life sign? It could be the survivor. It could be the killer. They could be the same person. Like, they intentionally try to drop, like, these distractions. And that's the only reason she's being so coy, is to keep selling it. Because it's like, girl, are you trying to make yourself seem like the evil alien? Because again, I don't know. I just couldn't. And then when we get to the trigger happy soldier, or whatever he is, that's when I just couldn't take it anymore, because that was completely ridiculous. Yes, we've all seen that before in Doctor Who and in other things, but this was so over the top. Like,
did he pull out the red card or something? Like, what do you call it? Like a red something, and
code
it only
red?
takes it was like a code red, and it's like he only needs one other guy to like say it's okay to do that, and it's fine. It's like, who made those rules?
Because I know a little bit about cancel culture in the workplace, in the real world, I thought this rule could never work in any military organization, future or past, because everyone would throw that around constantly.
Yeah.
Your whole military would no longer function.
Exactly.
Because, supposedly, because of the psychic paper, Ncuti outranks whoever their boss is on their ship, and yet a nobody can just pull this card and trump that person. That's the end of your military organization. And then, fine, now he's in charge. And usually in this type of story in sci-fi, they'll set up that this person is already in over their head, or they're inexperienced, or it's like their first time being a squad leader. But there's nothing like that. He seems like a competent person until he does all the wrong things. It's not set up, and it's complete. Oh, I can hardly think.
They set it up better in Planet of Evil in 1975.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Literally what? No. But
Salamar.
And then I was just completely done. I was completely done. I couldn't deal with it. My brain went into sleep mode. My eyes were open, but I was disassociating, and I just really didn't like it.
It tried, and it didn't. It just didn't succeed. It tried, and it didn't succeed. That's the way I look at it.
I didn't really see internet feedback on this. I'm assuming people liked it for the most part.
People liked it because of the surprise around it being very much like Midnight, etc. I think people liked it for that reason.
But yeah, that's all I got to say. One of my least favorite of the new RTD era.
Well, the reaction that I've been seeing overwhelmingly, and I haven't gone on to like Reddit or... Do they still have that Gallifrey forum? Do they still have that?
I don't even know. I would never go there.
Gallifrey base?
Yes, Gallifrey base does still exist.
Gallifrey base, that is still around? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, this, it felt filler, and it also felt a little lazy. So...
But I don't think it was meant to be like filler.
No, and it wasn't meant to be lazy either. It was... I'm sure when the idea was bandied, I think I heard RTD say something along the lines of, the idea came and I wasn't thinking about the Creature in Midnight, but then it kind of fit the Creature of Midnight, so I decided to retrofit that in. Something like that.
And it's not the creature's fault. It's just the story itself, I think, is a lame duck.
Can I just say one more thing, and it's going to piss off all the deaf listeners, which there are many, I'm sure.
All the deaf listeners. Stupid.
It's going to piss off the deaf listeners. I couldn't understand a word she was saying.
Oh, wow.
Well, Josh, you
No, I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't. It was very...
codophobic. I never.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's going to be pissed off. I had trouble understanding the actress.
It's okay. I could understand her, but I can't understand, like, David Tennant half the time because he talks so fast. It's the same thing. Whatever.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is nothing against the actress. I think she did a fantastic job, but unfortunately, like, the words came out and, like, sometimes I understood it, other times I didn't. And, like, I just kind of let that go, but it's just, I don't know. It was, I think that they're missing some stuff, and something's off. Like, it again, like, being a shell of what it used to be in so many ways, like, and we'll talk about next week, but
I don't think it's to me, it's not like a sign of bad times. I feel it's just a one episode that, I can just get past and whatever. I had no trouble understanding her, and I do have a hearing issue, but I had no issue understanding her. And the other dumb thing I was thinking, once we all understand how it works, all they have to do is whoever has it, that person just stands with their back against the wall, and then nobody can screw up, and the creature will be trapped until you can find a way to deal with it. All they had to do was get the person to stand with their back against the wall and then wait for the ship to come pick them up, and then they could sort it out later.
It's like when Colin Baker solved how to escape the Weeping Angels. You just keep your eyes open, close one eye, open it, close the other eye.
Yeah, it is like that. It is like that. Like, go back and watch it with that knowledge. And she's always standing literally in the middle of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And there's constantly people forcing her to have to turn around, which means someone's going to die.
Yeah, I mean that is true. Like, they placed her in the middle of the room. They put a little thing in the middle so she could sit down. Like, it's all been, like, set up so that, the people go around her on one side and the other. It's really set up that way. Yeah.
So she was just sitting in there when they showed up? There's nobody.
Yes.
She's just sitting there.
Yes.
Okay.
She was just there, yeah.
Yeah, in the center of the room, in the middle of the circle.
She happened to be sitting there in the middle of the...
Well, she was standing there, and then there just happened to be a very handy, storage box, like, in the middle of the room.
Okay.
All
right.
So, it was handy.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say, but I just noticed here in the Wikipedia entry for this episode, under critical reception, footnote 29, Kyle Anderson with the Nerdist also highlighted the entity, believing it to be a well-utilized evolution of the creature. So I just thought I'd share that.
All right. Well, thank you, Kyle, for that thought process. I have no other comment.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to rip.
I don't think that's a great evolution, but whatever. I mean, okay, fine.
If you like the episode, I could see that. And even though this is one of my least favorite of the new RTD era, I still would have enjoyed this a lot more than most of the Chibnall era. Okay, unit of measure.
Let's not even talk about the Chris Chibnall era. It's everything that I've seen that RTD has written, whether I liked it or not, is all better than Chibnall's best episodes. Okay? All.
There was a few there I liked, but I just can't remember what they are.
Yeah, there's a few that
literally, I can count them on one hand.
There's quite a few that are better than Space Babies.
I don't know.
But I like this more than... I
don't know if that's true.
I like Sleep No more than this episode, but I know I have an unpopular opinion.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right.
But anyway, unit of measure.
God, I don't even know what to use for a unit of measure here. Like, storage boxes. Like, what do you use here? Nurse kits.
Broken mirrors.
There you go. I like that. Broken mirrors.
All right, broken mirrors. Let's use broken mirrors. It's perfect. It's appropriate.
Who's going to go first?
I'll go first. This is one of the lowest ratings I've given in a long time on MHC. I'm going to give it a solid 1.5. Broken mirrors. Wow. This is out of 5, right? But it's mostly because I feel insulted. Like, it's not that it's so bad. I'm more rating my reaction to it. Because it wasn't the most apocryphal episode of New or Classic Who I've ever seen. Not at all. But when we only have, 8 episodes for the whole season? No more of this, thank you very much. I would have taken so many more silly, outlandish episode concepts than something that was just super bland and contrived.
With gremlins or whatever. Anyway.
Anything. Even the stupid goblins.
Goblins, that's what I was trying to find in my mind. All right, I'll go next. I'll give it 2.5 broken mirrors.
Wow.
I just, you know what? Like, I just had... It was almost a 3. It was almost a 3. But there's just too many... It's not one of those episodes, like, I feel like it's just a shell of what Midnight was. I've said that like 3 times, so I'm going to shut up now. But it was an attempt to make Midnight, do Midnight again. And it's, if you have to write your story over and over again, then I think you're losing steam. And this felt like a losing steam episode. Besides, like the whole self-sacrifice thing, which didn't do shit. It didn't do anything because it was still, the creature still existed. Just a complete and total waste, and nothing was set up in the story to get her to do something like that. So you're right, no setups for any of the human actions that took place. It was just everything was set up so it fit the story instead of the other way around. So I'll stick with that. Sean, what do you think?
I kind of disagree with a lot of what you both said because I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Whatever it was, can't remember.
Broken mirrors.
Sorry, that's right. I thought this was pretty much well done. It creeped me out. The sound design of whatever the sound was that the creature would make that Alice couldn't hear, that really kind of freaked me out. I liked the bit. Now, I still don't understand how the trigger happy guy was able to kill everybody by standing behind her. That I didn't understand. There was something there. Maybe I have to watch it again. But yeah, I mostly liked it. I thought it was a compelling piece of television. That's all I have to say. I don't know. I liked it.
That's fine.
Did you like how they died, like getting shot up into the air? I just thought that was great.
I didn't think anything of that. I thought it was cool. Whatever. It didn't occur to me. It didn't make me think of Monty Python, to be honest.
Yeah, but does it now?
Yes, it does now. Thank you for that. And thank you for pointing out that, yes, the costumes they put on are exactly the same as what the other characters are wearing.
One thing I want to say before we say goodbye.
Sorry, Sean. I ruined the whole thing for you.
I just wanted to mention, because while I was watching it before it was finished, I had messaged Caleb. This episode 3 I'm finding most confounding. And he agreed. And I didn't discuss it further at the time, but I was trying to think what I meant by that. All the types of issues I was talking about in the writing, like as things kept unfolding and we kept learning a little bit more, the plot was being revealed. I just couldn't believe this was real, like a real script by RTD. And, I have been rewatching the RTD era, and I'm near the end of season 4 now, or series 4. And there's been many episodes that I did not really care for back in the day, but they were just more enjoyable, like the Adipose one and Voyage of the Damned or whatever.
That is Space Babies. That and Space Babies are the same episode.
Like those were all episodes I really did not care for at all at the time. But the only reason I can like them now, it's not because the stories suddenly got better, but because something that we all know existed in the early RTD early years of his era. Whether you like the story or not, there'd be good character moments. There'd be good character development. You'd have these great little mini conversations between the companion and the doctor. And so I appreciated those things more going back to those episodes, despite whatever silliness was happening in those actual stories. But in this, I don't have that to even hold on to. There was a little mention, yes, because we don't even know Belinda's family on Earth firsthand, but it was just kind of throwaway stuff. There wasn't anything else for me to hold on to. There was only the story itself. And so, anyway, That's what I meant. But the part of what I meant by confounding. But anyway, thankfully, this is Doctor Who. It's an anthology show. So, I'm sure we'll get something different next time. And closing out the show today, this is Eric.
This is Josh.
And this is Sean.
And until next time,
if there's a weird creature behind your back and nobody can see it,
don't panic.